Sports Video Group's Jason Dackman. We are at the NBA All-Star Game in Los Angeles at the Staples Center, and I am with Turner Sports' Chris Brown. Chris, thanks so much for joining us at the compound today. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Chris, you have been working the All-Star Game for more years than you'd probably like to admit at this point, but you know, because of that, how much it has evolved and how much this compound has evolved. Tell us a little bit how it continues to become more efficient, grow probably by things that get done in the compound, but not necessarily by footprint. How does it continue to evolve? What's the compound like this year at All-Star?
Well, I think probably the biggest explosion for us has been in the social department. And social media, as I think everybody knows or everybody's aware, is taking over. And it's a way to get to a lot of people quickly. And it, in some respects, is just a little bit more down and dirty than kind of your traditional polished broadcast, even though I think the idea now is that we're actually trying to move even these social media broadcasts or events or productions into a more polished environment. So what I'm finding is I need to come up with more space or more rooms. So we're using support units, B units, however you want to frame them or call them, to actually squeeze in different productions. And so, this year, just this year alone, we have 2 complete social media production build-outs inside of some of these support trailers. And then a third support trailer is housing what I've been terming to everybody as a social media master control, where we're essentially, we have a group of folks that are determining what productions or what social media content, whether it's live view, an actual production control room that we've built, whichever the production method is, we push that out to the various social media outlets. And so we're finding that we need to build a control center just to handle all of that.
Right. Social's come a long way from just a couple of years ago, and one thing that has been here for a few years is NEP's ND1 unit, really serving as a signal distribution type hub for you guys. How does that continue to change? It's a really unique setup that you guys have here.
It does continue. I think we're getting to what I would call a sweet spot with it, and I have to thank the NEP staff and then the engineering teams there, and just their creative thinking, sort of out of the box, taking a traditional, what we call super truck production platform and turning it into essentially, basically maximizing the best components out of each of the individual trucks that make up the entire set of trucks. So, probably the biggest change that we made, actually it was last year, but then we've begun to build upon that, was by taking the video department and taking all of the cameras, and now all of our cameras actually come off of ND1 rather than taking the extra step of pulling them off of one truck, pushing them through another truck. So we're using their cameras now. The engineer that runs the truck has come up with, I think, some more creative ways to save resources. One of the other interesting things that I've talked to a handful of people about is, the distribution of HD signals around the compound has traditionally always been fiber. And one of the things that we've learned is that by strategically placing each of the 4 ND1 trailers around the compound, aside from the fact that there are capacity issues in terms of how much we can literally stuff into each one of those trailers, but what it's also allowing us to do is distribute the HD signals from each one of the 4 different trailers. So each of the 4 trailers is not only a production workspace of one sort or another, but now it's also an extension of the distribution of all the signals that are coming into the truck. So, having them sort of strategically placed around the compound means that, we're not having to use a ton of conversion gear in order to pull things in and out of HD. So that's been very different, but also good.
Yeah, sure. So that's out here in the compound. Inside in Staples, there's some cool new toys this year, especially on All-Star Saturday night. First of all, a Pylon Cam. I think Pylon Cam, the phrase, has been said a lot in football, but we're going to see it on the hardcourt on Saturday night. Tell us a little bit about that system.
So we've been working with the NBA and AVS, aerial video systems, on sort of a small camera, working with the kind of in the GoPro size and the GoPro frame. We're basically mounting it on each of the pylons as part of the skills competition on All-Star Saturday night. So it just will be an interesting perspective to see the players coming at the camera, whether they use it as a replay or whether they use it live. It's hard to say at this point, but just a different look, and that's another item or another element to sort of push what I would like to say the Turner initiative or the Turner agenda of bringing the fans closer to the action, or a little bit closer to the players, to the athletes. Right,
and that's not the only cool thing. Tomorrow night we're going to see some shot tracking on the 3-point competition. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yep. So we've been working closely with I think we call them Respect, RSPCT. Both they and one of our other longtime vendors, SMT, basically handling the integration for the graphics for us. But essentially, we're going to be able to see sort of what trajectory that the balls are, actually the trajectory of the ball through the hoop. And it's just a different way to look at, the three-point contest in terms of, are they getting tired? How many are falling short? How many are going long? How many are actually banging off the iron? Sort of wear on the iron. So just kind of give you a better idea of the consistency of what each of the players are shooting in something like that, and you compare consistency between the players. Just another dynamic or another tool which, as a fan, you can measure your favorite players as they shoot.
Very cool. Well, Chris, we always appreciate it. Hopefully we'll see plenty of that at All-Star on Saturday, and then, of course, the game on Sunday. But, Chris, always a pleasure. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Stay tuned to sportsvideo.org for more news from Los Angeles at the NBA All-Star Game.